Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to another exercise tutorial from our tutorial series of Chapter 3 for our Managerial Accounting course ACCT 428. This is Muhammad Al-Jabir, and in this video we're going to be looking at exercise 3-3A. Let's read the exercise together. It says, Santiago Company incurs annual fixed costs of $66,000. Variable costs of Santiago's products are $34 per unit, and the sales price is $50 per unit. Santiago desires to earn an annual profit of $34,000. What is required? Use the contribution margin ratio approach to determine the sales volume in dollars and units required to earn the desired profit, which is $34,000. Okay, let me highlight the data that we are going to use here. So the fixed cost $66,000, the selling price per unit, the variable cost per unit is $34 per unit, and the sales price per unit is $50, and the target profit or the desired profit is $34,000. So let's quickly remind ourselves of the formulas that we're going to be needing to find our answer here. The question is specifically asking us to use the contribution margin ratio. So let's remember how to calculate first the contribution margin per unit, which equals the sales price per unit minus the variable costs per unit. Okay? So that means for this case, the contribution margin per unit is going to equal $50 here minus $34. So $50 minus $34, and that equals $16. Okay. Now we still need to find the contribution margin ratio. So we're going to need this formula, contribution margin ratio equals the contribution margin per unit that we just calculated divided by the sales price per unit. Okay. That means our contribution margin ratio is going to equal $16 divided by $50. Go to our calculator. 16 divided by 50. That would be 0.32, which is equal to 32%. Okay. Now that we know our contribution margin ratio, we can refer to the contribution margin ratio method formula, which states that the target sales in dollars. What we mean by target sales in dollars here is that this is the sales that the company should target if they want to achieve the desired profit, which is the $34,000 in this case. Okay? How much is that going to be? It's going to be the fixed costs plus the desired profit or the target profit divided by the contribution margin ratio. Remember the difference between the contribution margin method and the contribution margin ratio method is that the contribution margin ratio method is going to give us the target sales, or the target sales to achieve a certain profit or desired profit, or the target sales to achieve break-even point in dollars right away. So you do not need to take your answer and multiply it by the selling price, just like we typically do with the contribution margin method. Okay, so the contribution margin ratio method gives us the answer in dollars amount right away. Okay, so now let's substitute with all the data that we have. The fixed cost in this scenario is 66,000. And the target profit or the desired profit is $34,000. So we're going to add that. And then we're going to divide the total of these two by 0.32. Okay, 66,000 plus 34,000, that's $100,000 divided by 0.32. Go to the calculator again. 100,000 divided by 0.32, and that is going to be $312,500. Okay. So meaning that if the company, based on the data that we have, wants to achieve a profit of 34,000, they need to sell or to have total sales of $312,500. Okay. Now remember that the question also wants, so they want the sales volume in dollars and in units. So now we're going to do the opposite of what we did in the previous exercise. We're going to take this, and in order to transform it from dollars into units, we're going to divide it by the selling price, right? So we're going to say target sales in units is going to equal 312,500 divided by the selling price per unit, which was $50. Okay, I still have the 312,500 on my calculator, so I'm just going to divide that by 50, and that's going to be 6,250 units. Now it's very important to also show that you show your understanding by using the correct denotation for each answer. So you should not just put the number down, you should show, like for example in our first answer, this is $312,500. However, this one, 6,250 units. Okay, that's really important. All right, relatively straightforward question. However, I did notice that students typically make mistakes whenever they use the contribution margin ratio method right here. Students tend to not be very confident in this method. You don't have to use this unless the question specifically asks you to do so. And in this example, the question did directly ask us to use the contribution margin ratio method, so we had to use it. Other than that, if the question doesn't say so, you can feel free to use the other two methods. It's up to you. Okay, this is how you solve this exercise 3-3A. I hope that you found this video useful. If you do have any questions, as always, feel free to drop them down in the comments. And until I see you in the next exercise tutorial, keep on learning and take care.